really get to past ban phase number 2.
Really?
Or else they get pinched super hard.
I'm actually a bit surprised with that because my own instinct was like, well, there's still the Rek'Sai and the Elise and the Olaf, but yeah, we'll see what the teams actually want to go for here in this one and how much they need a Cadian to get a high-profile champion. Team Dignitas' first 2 bans come through as Jason, Twisted Fate, Echo Fox doing the seemingly standard red side bans, Rengar, Camille off the table, LeBlanc likely to follow.
Yeah, LeBlanc definitely high up there. Very difficult to
blue side
prioritize or even justify letting that one through. So they are going to ban it actually from blue side here for Dignitas. Yes, not willing to first pick it. As we've seen, there have been counters prepared as well. Like the Kassadin. I know a decent amount of people with their own specific counters that they didn't want me to spoil yet.
Sure.
But a lot of them do involve taking exhaust in the mid lane to counter her all-ins.
Absolutely.
We'll see here, though. Those junglers we were talking about, 2 of the premier ones right off the bat. No surprise.
No surprise at all. Kha'Zix's first pick worthy we've seen from several teams in the North American LCS and worldwide. And now it's time for Someday to make the first choice here in picks and bans. And the stock in Varus has been rising. And looks like the bot lane role will be picked in the first round right away. Of course, we know Ashe and Jhin still available, and there's plenty of time for Echo Fox to grab them.
Yeah, for me, for the red side, I would definitely like to dictate the next 2 roles at the moment. I mean, you're going to want to pick up Ashe, because like we said, second ban phase really whittles those AD carries down. But you don't have to do it super early. There's no reason for you to rush that in the first 2 picks. Probably save it for that last pick in the first phase. Meanwhile, there it is, picking up that Rek'Sai. Yeah, it's so much about the information that you do get with your Tremor Sense as well and controlling that early game. Meanwhile, the Zyra, one of your favorites, Freak. I know from the bottom lane, a lot of laning power there.
Yep, it's going to be Keith playing support this game. Gate is hard carrying on Zyra, calling it already here in this match. Early rotation out of the Rek'Sai as well. Of course, we know 3 of the roles so far in this game. We will have desynced roles at the end of the first pick phase as now Ryze picked up 4 roles with 2 picks to go.
Interesting. So they either have to decide if they want to let jungle get pinched a bit further or the support role because, Malzahar is still up. There are quite a few high-profile ones like Karma is still available as well, and they're just gonna let Echo Fox have another whack at those in the ban phase, it looks like.
All right, Echo Fox, do you grab Misfortune, or not Misfortune, that's just silly. Do you grab Ashe or Jhin, the expected A-tier AD carries left over, or do you go for the mid lane Cassiopeia, preempting the bans that can come out? That's basically the choices, according to the tier list book, that are left available for Echo Fox.
Yeah,
they have something else in mind.
Definitely both routes do have their pros. As we said, though, yeah, the AD carry role quite thin at the top. They're not comfortable getting pushed down past the Jhin Ashe level because it really does drop off in utility after you go past that. And even laning phase, right? Varus quite good against things like Caitlyn and stuff in the lane phase as well. So let's take a look here. There it is, the predicted Malzahar ban. They'll probably continue, follow that one up with maybe Karma or something on the side of Echo Fox in their ban phase. And then the role that was left unanswered by Team Dignitas is that mid lane. You pointed out the Ryze, and they're actually banning Froggen with a target ban instead of going for that Cassiopeia, which is the most common counter pick. I feel like Orianna as well is all right. Not really a counter pick, but I feel like that's a decent one that you can take right into the Ryze as well.
Absolutely. So this is, I believe, Froggen's 3rd Anivia ban received so far in the North American LCS. Had 2 coming into it across the 5 games they've played. Cassiopeia, yep, there's the final one through. So, pair of mid lane bans, no surprise. Froggen sometimes has received critiques and criticism for not expanding this champion pool properly. Famously never played a Azir during last year.
Oh, look at this nice little wrinkle, though. The Fiora, instead of doubling up and banning the Karma as well away from Team Dignitas, turn their sights towards Someday's carry potential, right? He has such a long history on Fiora, one of his highest win rate champions, ridiculous carry power, and they're not going to let him have that, so they'd rather have him on a tank, which he has also performed extremely well on tanks. We'll see about the gains, though, as Froggen is going to be able to take up that Corki into the mid lane.
And Maokai, the quick pickup there. Famous for Fiora or not, Maokai still highly prioritized top laner, and the question is, does Looper, now that the Fiora's gone, have a good matchup into that one? We could see the attack speed Kennen build, the Wits End Hurricane we've been seeing popularized in Korea, everyone picking it up pretty quickly as well, and especially you can see talking back and forth with the coach, shakes his head, no, I don't want to play that. How about the Karma? Going to be locked in.
Yeah, there's a Karma. And we already went over the trade-off here. They decided to target Ben the Fiora, put Semdai on a tank in exchange for letting that Karma through for the lane phase so that Dignitas actually feel pretty good about that bottom lane, even though it is into the Ashe Zyra, which is one of the most highly prized. But then the top lane. You mentioned already the Kennen possibility, but looks like it will just be, again, the classic Maokai Nautilus that we are very well acquainted with this season.
I feel like at this point we need to make a lore matchup where suddenly Maokai and Nautilus don't like each other as like reanimated almost humans. Or non-humans at this point, who knows?
It's honestly is interesting how it makes the team fight shape up, right? Because the Maokai and Nautilus are so often just locked into that hand-to-hand combat, and how you draft your backline really turns more towards what champions are really good at threading damage past a super tank in the front, right? You know, Maokai and Nautilus are locked in heads up, but Varus can shoot arrows past them, trying to snipe out the backline, even going with the lethality build so they can do more damage to the backline. And then you just, whoever takes out the other backline first, then turns their attention towards the tank. And they're the only team with DPS left, so able to clean it up that way. Meanwhile, Echo Fox have drafted pretty good spread of damage here and a decent amount of AoE CC as well. So these team fights are going to be, you know, the typical ones that we've been seeing so far this season. And to me, the real big swing here is going to be, what about the shot calling setting up for these late game objectives? Because Echo Fox, we talked about Dignitas' late game problems, but Echo Fox as well, the same problems that permeated their gameplay last season are still showing up this season, and it is a lot of that setup for objectives late game.
Yeah, the problem with the late game shot calling, maybe an issue for both these squads, but we are ready to go into game one of this match. Here we go. Team Dignitas in the blue, Echo Fox on the red. Team fight comps on both sides. And we head into the rift here for game one.
All right. Chaser here on Lee Sin. He's had some of his best games on Lee Sin. Talking about the inconsistency though, he was getting caught out quite a bit yesterday on Kha'Zix. We'll see if he feels more comfortable on Lee Sin and if he can get off to any early start here. Already a little bit of a wrinkle here as Dignitas actually going for some power on the bottom side of the map. See if they catch anyone.
I always love teams that do something a little bit special. Ooh, he got spotted. Speaking of special. So that's going to get rid of some of that little cheekiness, but I always love teams who have just try to do something at level 1 with the off chance that someone does something wrong and face checks into the squad. You've got a 5% chance of a first blood. Why not do it?
Yeah.
Doesn't turn into much.
Goes up to like 15, 20% chance in solo queue.
That does. You have a Blitzcrank, stack in a brush. You will kill something.
As of right now, though, what you do give up when you go for one of those and it doesn't work out is a little bit of cross-map visibility, and Echo Fox taking the initiative here, going in to see just where the start will be from Chaser. Yep, top side, blue side. Won't be any pulls from the bottom side, especially on live. That timer got reduced even a little bit more, but in pro play, they were already way ahead of that, and dual lanes don't want to spend any extra time there because you lose so much pressure, controlling that minion wave.
Yeah. Especially in the ranged matchups, when you've got champions like Zyra who want to be in the lane, getting the seeds down, Karma can do the same cheeky stuff. If it was Braum Thresh, maybe it's less likely, but that's not the world we are in right here. Kobe giving me the A+, appreciates my bot lane knowledge.
Can't be shouting out our hand signals, man. These are top secret.
This is proprietary information here. Riot casters use hand signals.
Meanwhile, it looks like they are going to be able to track Chaser pretty easily, so we'll see how Acadian fares in this early game. We keep setting him up as, he's gotten first blood so many times, but jungle ganking.
CS.
Jungle ganking, people put so much emphasis on, oh man, this guy has gotten all these first bloods. A lot of it is being set up by your laners. A lot of it is which enemy team is being very obvious about their early warding path, because it's very easy to keep track of trinket wards. Yeah. Anytime your laner is moving over to one of those obvious spots. Actually, meanwhile, down bottom, we get some trading here.
Special doesn't stay to get the rest of the binding down, and Keith gets to just barely walk away from the piercing arrow. Otherwise, a trade of blows. Special missing a Q. Back to the lane.
And, if we do check back in on the junglers, you talk about the early information onto Lee Sin. That doesn't just expire with the ward, right? He started on top side, so you extrapolate a little bit. Yeah, we saw him go to Gromp. He's doing this full clear side. So Acadian checks the Scuttle Crab first, which is the usual point that you contest someone, then moves in. There's the Tremor Sense, is going to be able to contest him at the Raptors a little bit because mid lane has recalled. You know, talk about the rest of the laners affecting jungling all the time. Counter jungling is a team objective. You know, Froggen was able to get back before Keen, and so that gave him the confidence to go in and steal that smite.
Yeah, well, Acadian stealing the camp away, though still down in XP under Chaser Gold. At least similar between the two of them, but still it's a good way to get in your opponent's head. Say, yes, I will walk into your jungle. Rookie North American jungler, let me take that away from you.
One thing here is that Acadian actually took the blue, and for me, when I have a Corki mid specifically, especially when I'm playing Rek'Sai and you very clearly don't have mana, Corki mid benefits so much from the extra mana regen early. A lot more than a lot of the other mid lane mages, because so much about that pushing power and harassing this rise. But feels like Froggen is taking care of his own business. Froggen actually goes for the hard shove and recalls while Chaser is top.
Burst of flash then the Q. That is a flash down. Chaser making the first impact, and even though the Raptor steal looked flashy from Acadian, Chaser took the Krugs away before this gank even happened, so he equalized the farm. Acadian, of course, mirroring that play as well, says I see Chaser top lane, Krugs must be up, and it will be one more camp stolen, but still a flash burn by Chaser is good.
Yeah, I mean, top lane focus is going to affect the bottom lane as well. We'll see if these teleports come in very quickly for returning to the top lane, because right now they could be used bottom. Kind of dangerous to go for a dive at this stage of the game, so just a pass through here. I think that was a good abort on any sort of call they were making down there. That being said, though, anytime you reveal yourself, fairly unnecessary and definitely does chain into what will Lee Sin do with that information. Yeah, Acadian was just bottom. Now Chaser has a bit of a time here where he gets to go invade.
Yep. You basically get to say, okay, well, we know he's got a top side. His Raptors should be respawning. He was Rek'Sai. Oh, sure enough, there's the champion. There's the camp trying to be stolen away. And Acadian will be late to the party. Chaser and early smite won't hurt him. And Acadian has now sat to his camp is gone.
And remember, when you try and do this stuff at home, so much of it involves where are the laners that I'm playing around. If you're going to try and invade on the opposite side of the map, oh yeah, jungler from the enemy team showed bottom. I'm going to go into their top side. Do not do that if your mid lane is getting pushed in. Do not do that if your top lane is getting pushed in. And part of that, Keen was just trading right there pretty heavily with Froggen. So he knew that even if Rek'Sai did show up, have an easy escape.
Yeah. Also worth kind of pointing out that, as you mentioned, showing in the bot lane, using that information, Acadian lost 15 seconds walking the bot lane and back. If he didn't use those 15 seconds, he was there in time to stop the Raptor steal. And those few seconds, like de-syncing from his spawn timing, lost him a jungle camp.
Meanwhile, though, a lot of the next level jungling you'll see is from people like Reignover, who think 2 steps ahead rather than 1. So Chaser, he goes the 1 extra step and he's like, I'm counter jungling your Raptors because you were bottom. But then after he does that step, he returns to just normal farming, right? Okay, my closest farm camp is my blue side. I'm going to my blue side. Whereas someone like Reignover, we've seen him, he will go back to his own red side to counter the
counter jungle that Acadian wants to do
from Acadian and make sure that those aren't there. Because you didn't take the extra step as Chaser, Acadian catches right back up, and it actually doesn't result in any really big swing. And those are the types of things that we have always praised Reignover for. That's just an example. And Chaser, as we said, some inconsistencies. It does come from a lot of his successes were really good ganks, which are things that are a lot less standard and a lot less reliable than those small camp advantages and the small farm advantages that you get from planning out a little bit better.
Yep. And just to quantify what that means right now, gold difference between the two junglers, about 250. Acadian in the lead. The extra camps he's stolen away just slightly in his favor. That said, Team Dignitas winning overall as a team, +7 minions in the top lane, +13 in the bot lane. Vlad and especially continuing to do very well in the laning phase. And Keith and Gate behind once again. Quick blue handoff. Keen's got that. It's going to feel good. Similar timing should be available to Froggen once that respawns, which should be in the next 35 seconds or so.
Also, we're seeing a lot more blue side control wards come out here. Team Dignitas, you can tell, there's so much focus on controlling the space around Keen and this rise. And they've got both sides of the river pretty well warded. The one area they don't is this Infernal Drake, though. So if you spend so much vision up there, you know, on the top side of the river and around mid lane, you still always have to worry about early confrontation down here around Infernal Drake because it's so good at snowballing. Not only do you focus the bottom lane and, you know, if you get a big swing there, you can snowball that later into the game, but so much extra damage if the Drake is the extra prize.
We'll see when these prizes come through. Gold back to the Tide. Lotto nearly flashed parallel to the arrow. Had to still juke it. Gets away with it, though.
Yeah, we do see that a decent amount of times, flashing in a straight line away from danger. But that is actually really important trading. That's why we see so many Ashes go for those arrows, even if they're pretty clearly be flashed away. Yeah, such smaller cooldown there. And you've got more threat here.
This could be the 4v2 in the bot lane. Someday can match teleport. Looper can't stop it. He's too far away. There's the flash route, cuts him off to the side. This could be the play. Looking for it, but catches nothing. Chase is already there to spot it out and gates one hit from dead. Froggen trading blows to the front line. Dies to Someday. Lod will lose his life, but it's 2 for 1 so far. In advantage to Team Dignitas. Make that 3 already. This play is going so much better. Just eviscerating the Echo Fox lineup 3-2 as one gets turned around by Looper, but still.
And again, it's not just about 3 for 2. Oh yeah, they got 1 extra kill. This bottom lane play results in an Infernal Drake. This is the true gain here that Team Dignitas are going to get for that counterplay on the bottom side initiation there from Echo Fox. And a lot of the power of this Corki and his first package is in actually cutting up the fight with your package. Froggen, because it started a little bit before he got there, had to use his package to gain distance just to get to the fight, and it just got kicked into the turret. You didn't get to use the package for a lot of extra damage here. So let's look at the setup because Chaser, counter, gank is prepped. Froggen already, package is used there. It doesn't affect the fight at all. He just gets kicked right over to Lod and then focused down. Even though Acadian flashes in and does finish off Lod, he's very far away from the rest of his team and does get taken down. Keen there, could have tried to turn on the Nautilus and snare him, but Nautilus is full health, so eventually going to Spider-Man his way out of that one.
Yeah, gets to walk away, but I gotta say, that was just strange by Gate to go too early. He made Froggen waste his cooldowns, essentially. You're not in a huge rush there.
And there's so much more power in one of the early packages. The damage on that thing, especially this early in the game, is insane. You can completely change the way that this early dive goes. So already, you know, some of these shot calling issues and the communication that we're looking at with both of these teams actually shows up here in Dignitas' benefit because Chaser was prepping the counter game.
And it's smart of him to be there. I'd love to watch that back just with Chaser's point of view and see why he knew to be there and exactly how he made that happen. But it was very right of Chaser to be there to turn that around. 3 assists for him as a result. Good early start for Team Dignitas.
One of the big things as a jungler that you look for in setting up these counter ganks, I'm glad you asked that question, is blown summoners. You know, where would I target if I was on the enemy team? We just saw this Ash Arrow used for the flash a lot, and mid lane pushed up, started to roam. You're thinking, okay, my bottom lane is a juicy target for the enemy, so I'm gonna go, you know, maybe clear my Krugs so I'm in the area, and then wait around. And those are the types of plays, right? You just go for the highest percentage. There's no guarantee that it is gonna happen, but you try and think what's the most juicy target basically for the enemy team, and it really pays off there. Counter ganks are one of the most high yield basically jungle plays early in the game. Because the enemy uses so many movement abilities just to try and create the play that you have a lot of extra counters for the actual fight, just like we saw there, you know, with Froggen and the package.
Absolutely agree. Of course, the air raid siren of picking up the package never hurts.
That's a
Guys,
good
there's a gank in a minute. In the next 60 seconds, someone's gonna die.
Maybe I went too small, and there's this big alarm going, woo, woo, woo. AD carry without flash, and we got a package.
Well, special delivery went in the favor of Team Dignitas. They opened up a couple 100,000 gold. 100 or 1,000 gold, that's a bit closer of an estimate. Either way, let's see how else it can pan out. Only 1,100 gold difference. This is certainly winnable by Echo Fox. We'll see what can happen here. Quick control over the wards. Acadian's gonna ult back on the top side, take his red buff away. Under the guise of Froggen and Looper being nearby as well, in case there was an invade, but there wasn't, and so they're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Back to a pause.
Yeah, I mean, so we're going to check back in like on these stats, right? Because at the beginning of the game, you mentioned, okay, so they have these good average gold stats for the first couple of days of games. And that's why we always talk about, you know, the variance in putting so much stock in early game successful ganks. Yeah, that can make you look super great, and you're like, oh my god, this jungler, he's amazing, right? But how are Echo Fox going to do when, you know, they don't find success, right, with those early ganks? And those things are very unreliable sources of gold. Now that they haven't had that, you know, and due to the small sample size earlier, we'll see what Dignitas can actually do to pressure these guys when they aren't starting out with a, you know, 10-minute and definitely looking hard for them to get a 20-minute gold lead, as Dig are off to a pretty good start here. Infernal Drake on top of that gold, by the way.
It's got to feel good for Team Dignitas. They've got kind of everything they need. You know Maokai's going to scale better than Nautilus. Typically, Nautilus seen as the better laner. He's supposed to be able to bully a little bit. This hasn't happened here. Someday winning a matchup that maybe via skill he's supposed to anyway.
Package number 2.
Looking for the play. Arrow, nice juke by Special. Package not going to be sent. Looks like it's going to be returned to sender here. No one was home to answer the door.
Yeah, Echo Fox took more damage going for that than Team Dignitas did. And they didn't have to expend anything but a simple Karma Shield for the extra speed boost. Meanwhile, Frog can try and get back to the mid lane. Gives up maybe 1 CS there as Keen on the rise. Farming straight up. He's got the tier. Rod of Ages is stacking. Feels very nice about this rise. About to hit that mid-game power spike. And this is going to be where Team Dignitas can turn it on, right? We mentioned Someday. We mentioned how this guy's a star for the team. And how he's done it on the Maokai are these timely teleports to the other side of the map to get flanks in and snare the enemy in place, allowing the rest of the team to actually pick up extra kills.
And it's been good so far. Team Dignitas able to withstand the early game pretty well. And we'll see what their mid-game ends up looking like here as they continue to stack up and scale, and we'll see when their first move really ends up being.
Yeah, I mean, even with a Mountain Drake coming up in 25 seconds, and Team Dignitas, they don't have a giant lead at the moment, but it already gets a little scary for Echo Fox, right? Because their vision was just cleared out. And we always talk about prep. Dignitas, good job here prepping for this next Drake. If I'm Echo Fox, you're going to want to try and get some wards in the area. You have to be very safe about doing it, though, because it's very difficult, to face check this Dignitas squad as they're moving in and contesting even blue buff territory.
Looking for it, getting poked back into the front. Steal comes through. Lod from downtown secures it. How about infinite mana on Varus? Feels pretty good, man.
Oh my goodness. Varus can poke you through those 2 corridors leading up to the Drake now, too. Someday has this top lane pushing. All things are pointing towards really good preparation here for Team Dignitas to be able to get another Drake in their hands. You know, Gate was just forced back the lane, and Acadian, he's scrambling for it. We need to get some vision down here. We don't want Team Dignitas to be able to set up, and they're doing just that. So holding on for right now. We'll see if the action explodes, though, because you also want to keep an eye on that minion wave top as Someday it keeps shoving it in, right? He's prepping himself to teleport down. So that even if they answer teleports, Looper will lose more.
Right, it's worth pointing out that, ooh, hold on, that's a play on the Gate. Exhaust forced out, Chase nearly dies. Gate the same! Lod again, his second snipe in a row, doing beautifully here on this Varus.
Oh, American Sniper here. Lod able to steal away the blue, snipe down the Zyra, and there it is. You know, preparation is rewarded in the end, and that will be Mountain Drake uncontested now. Plus, they don't even have to call Someday. He can continue to push Looper in on the top side.
All right, Team Dignitas so far, only good moves, or at least only moves in their favor this game right now. 4-2, up 2 Drakes as well, 2,000 gold lead. Eventually the first turret will fall, and it's looking like bot lane might be that effort. Turret has taken about half its HP so far via the laning phase, and now 3 members in. They'll get the rest of that health bar, not even a problem. Mountain Drake obviously helps it, and pop goes the first turret of the game. 3,000 gold lead now for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, this game is such a good example of how the small advantages really do accumulate and result in big rewards here. The reason Chaser's going to go for this, he saw Zyra go for the snare already, so a big ability down. You can't really always count on Lod hitting that, but very nice snipe there. And as we said, those corridors, certainly can't count on him hitting it, but definitely increase your chances when, you know, Fox is on red side and the early Drake control is over to a Varus squad. You know, all things really pointed to that play from Team Dignitas, and I like how they just set it up so far in advance.
Yeah, unlucky for Gate, LoD was in fog of war when he shot the arrow, so even though Gate had flash up, I don't think he had the means of dodging the arrow because he couldn't see it in time. Maybe it could have happened, but either way, of course, a good play by Team Dignitas. The capitalization all there, and we'll see what the next play is. Now that they've broken the outer bottom turret, they can get more done on the map.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look at it from Echo Fox side too, because you know we usually criticize them for this you know, lack of ability to really create advantageous situations for themselves. And when you do take away that vision, and remember, this vision war started from minute 2 basically, when Team Dignitas were the ones accumulating that step by step. Taking away that vision, like you said, really results in those types of plays, right? It reduces your reaction time, not only to dodging arrows, but even getting into the right place. Even seeing them move to a certain side of the map and setting that stuff up.
Makes it difficult to do the right thing, Echo Fox, when you don't have any vision right here, and the battle is continuing. Of course, a double Sightstone team. Lee Sin always going to be that. Worth pointing out, Acadian did go Warrior Enchant on the Rex side. That is atypical for the champion, but it's what he's gone for here. Looking for the arrow into the mid lane, not going to find anything, and I believe 0 have landed all game. 1 forced a flash, the rest have all been sidesteps.
Yeah, I mean, Karma, that's the other thing. You got to manage the extra speed.
Sure.
Makes it pretty easy. And as for the vision points, there were wards. Arrow was coming down the river right over the wards. You get to see it then. It really does help you in your dodging skills.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Team Dignitas just slow and steady here. Sending Keen up to the top side. Rise, notorious 1v1 power, notorious split pusher. And as you said, you know, his Rod of Ages is almost done stacking. Tier is stacking up super nicely. He claims his turret. No confrontation here from Echo Fox quite yet.
And no confrontation needed for Team Dignitas. They're about to knock down the third and final outer turret right here. You can see back when Team Dignitas was Apex with 2 of these old members, Expecto and Keen being those. They did pretty well when they got gold leads. This time around, you can see them looking pretty solid as well. And
40% of your health.
Yeah. Well, and you've got no armor at all. Gate on 46 armor, not exactly a high mark. LoD sitting on 30 lethality.
Even with level 2 boots, difficult for Gate to dodge that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a pretty long-range arrow as well. We'll see though, because slowly but surely, mid lane whittling down as well.
And pop, down it goes. 3 turrets picked up. LoD, part of 2 of them himself.
Oh, he shot him again.
Gate chunked back down to half HP, and look at this Chaser just able to live now inside the jungle. Another blue over to LoD. I mean, he's a great recipient of that buff as well. The 10 CDR does matter on this champion. And still just unable to see anything that Echo Fox is able to do to break himself back into this game. Team Dignitas is taking the slow and steady leads. Yeah,
and you know, he's going that, you know, old mid lane Varus build that's really been coming back with the tier into double lethality. This is still 7.1, by the way. This isn't even up to the buff lethality on live at the moment, but so many people have been going back to this, and it just really shows when he does land those on the back line. You talked about Gate, no armor. That's where it's really going to find a lot of value there. So the next Drake coming up as well already seems like it's going to be a very similar situation for Echo Fox, except now they don't even have outer turrets in any lane to fall back to. So things just snowball worse and worse and worse for them. And since they both have team fighting teams and Echo Fox are you know, trying to run through these small jungle corridors to the dragon, that's not an area they can actually fight anymore. You know, they really need to get some element of surprise to turn this one around.
Looking for a surprise party. Where's Fiddlesticks when you need him? LoD, nope, gonna juke the correct way anyway, walk straight down, and Keith never had a chance.
That one was pretty ballsy, waiting, you know, just counting on that speed and not blowing your heal, not blowing your flash for the arrow, but he was full confidence that he wasn't getting hit by that, as Especially was like, yes, walk towards me. I got you with the extra speed boost, and once again, walks right out of it. Remember the Ash arrow, even though the visual looks like the front of the arrow will stun you, the hitbox for it is actually at the tail end.
It's around the middle, I think. I think it depends, but you're right, it's not the very front tip. That's just one thing to keep in mind, that it will look a little bit misleading. Also want to point out, Edge of Night does have a channel time before it'll actually bring you the spell shield. For those who haven't used the item, you can't do it reactively. He's got to prepare.
Yeah, actually I talked to the designers, and the reasoning on the end for the arrow hitbox is that it looks very weird for Ashe to shoot an arrow at point blank, and then the tip obviously starts out in front, so you need to be able to stun your point blank target, right? So it is
visually just
near that tail end. Meanwhile, though, there's that Drake we talked about. Definitely going to be easy cleanup here for Team Dignitas, as all those vision points as well as the terrain trying to walk over there, just not a tenable situation for Echo Fox. And again, they're looking for some surprise play to catch them off guard.
Yeah, surprise parties just have not been properly executed, though, sadly. Someone always spoils it. You got someone, heading over to Sally's house for the surprise party. Oh, crud. Whoops, Sally, sorry, you saw this. And that's just what's happening. I don't know. Team Dignitas just reading the tweets. Echo Fox letting them know what's coming for them. The wards basically are the tweets in this metaphor. It's stretched, I know.
I got lost. Meanwhile, they're actually getting cornered here around Baron. And Sunday's in there.
Surprise! Someday bringing the presence into this one. 1v3, but here comes Keen. Keen's going to jump over the wall. Cadian running out of health pretty rapidly. One picked up already, and the chase going to continue by Chaser himself. Here's a big knockup out of Looper. Catches 3 or 4. Chaser running low, but gets out of range. Another pickup for Keen as he takes down Froggen. Looper next up, and it's going to be 3 for 0. Pretty painless for everyone not on Echo Fox. And Team Dignitas,
surprise! Another shellacking here with Team Dignitas taking out 3 more members, and another very smooth objective for them. There's absolutely no way that Echo Fox can actually steal this unless Gate runs over Suicide Mission for a miracle Zyra.
He's not going to try.
He's not making the move, so there it is, step by step. Let's take another look here, though, because in order to set up a surprise play, which is kind of their only way back into this, they wanted to get some area of the map with vision, but some days like, hey, we found Froggen backline here, immediately goes onto him, and Dignitas with their giant lead, able to collapse and take down the Corki right from the start. There's really no safe spot for him. Keen flashes right into Froggen's space there. Froggen was trying to land some support from the side, and after Froggen went down and right after, no more DPS left.
Now it's a 9,000 gold lead. This is just getting farther and farther out of reach for Echo Fox. They've just, other than Acadian getting a little bit more farm than Chaser, nothing's been going on for the red side.
Yeah, I mean, they really need to regroup here and look at things for their next opportunity, because this is a best of 3, and next game they're going to need to really put more focus on that vision. I know it looked like a very slow early game here, and it was very methodical from Team Dignitas. With the leads they were able to slowly push through, just made their decision-making very, very simple with the extra vision that they did have to work with. Whereas Echo Fox here, again, we talked about last season, kind of same issues really coming up for them here. Who's going to be the one to take the initiative for these guys?
I don't know. We're looking for it, but we've not found it right now for Echo Fox. Initiative not being rolled, getting a 1. They're always a slow one here at ACT. Team Dignitas looking for just the closing of the game now, 27 minutes in. Baron buff on. Turret's just falling with dominoes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess technically Echo Fox did go for plays early in the game, went the bottom plays. It's just that they were very low percentage plays, and they revealed themselves each time they did. So Team Dignitas was able to take countermeasures here, and right now, man, this is really snowballing out of control. You look at the options for Team Dignitas to end this, and they're plentiful.
Yeah.
They can even go for turret dives at the moment here with some... Oh, they're going for it, actually.
All right, knock up on a lob. The hook's going to land as well. That's going to be a dead Varus. 5v4. Gate chunked out. Make it a 4v4 now as one goes down. Looking for a bit more. They root onto Looper. Someday happy to take the turret. And Nautilus running out of health pretty rapidly. Q's going to land. Take it. Just kidding. It'd be the wrong choice.
Good job there for Keith and Echo Fox. You need to take every opportunity for you. However, even with landing an arrow on the AD carry and being able to hook him back in with the Nautilus, you still lose out. You get a 1-for-1 and you lose your inhibitor turret. Here we go, Looper trying to make it up though.
Teleport play, can they make it happen? Looper just running out of health way too rapidly. Look at that kickback on the Keith, as beautiful as it could have Ben Chaser opening it up. Acadian next up in the chopping block, 2 for 0. Into the base they go. Team Dignitas grab their first inhibitor, and they're not even slowing down just yet. Chaser injured, but they can close the game out right here. Echo Fox hoping to keep their base alive. Will it even matter though? Looper again getting chunked out, getting assaulted, getting taken out. Has to go back.
Getting
to
a
base,
4,000 shield.
Okay, big enough. He'll survive in this one. One Nexus turret gone. Froggen, they looked at him funny. He had to jump over the wall. And now Key, I don't know, gonna respawn in 10 seconds. Arrow will be up when he is.
Baron buff has timed out, and there's a lot of money in inventory here for Team Dignitas, or rather in their pockets that they need to transfer to the inventory.
2,000 to 3,000 per person.
Look at that map. My goodness, there's no area without outside of the base that Xbox actually have vision of. Here's the arrow though, so you know they get the AD carry and they have Looper there to line up the snare right afterwards, but it doesn't matter because Team Dignitas are so far ahead that even without their AD carry, they can collapse and have enough damage to not only get answer counter kills here, but also top side objective right after.
Absolutely, and Echo Fox. It's disheartening when you get the one kill and it turns into you losing more of your base anyway. That even the good plays aren't turning up as anything useful anymore. Only 3 kills the entire game through. Echo Fox. One was losing their base and one was in a 2 for 3 they lost that they tried to engage upon. Sadly, everything they've been doing has been backfiring here. Team Dignitas to cement the advantage a bit more. Grab the quick Infernal Drake while they're here, and then set up the rest of the minion waves to push into the base.
Really did like, whether it was, Echo Fox being very, obvious with their early game, choices. That is true, and that's a fair point. But you can still shout, "Oh goodness!"
Oh geez, he's dead. All right, Lod picks him up. How about a little bit more? Chaser, yeah, he's tanky enough in the lead. Has a Guardian Angel. Another flash follow comes in for Sunday. Gate's gonna go down. Woo. Double kill in for Lod. 4, 2, and 6. Death leader on the team because he's been the target for either way, doing his job well enough. And now 5 versus 3 on the map. Someday walks through the turret. He's coming to grab the minion wave as the game-winning push has begun now for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, it looks like one Nexus turret left, and Someday's over there to tank it. GA ready. He can even go down. Doesn't look like they'll be able to have the damage to even get the GA proc though.
And not much hope for it. Chaser with the kick flash brings the Acadian back into the team. Laud to participate in the damage. Keen doing even more of that. Chaser actually getting a bit low, but it doesn't even matter. The Nexus turret's going to fall.
On the edge.
Almost dies inside the fountain. But that's game 1. Team Dignitas, you expected it coming into the match, and that was a pretty clean victory. Game 1 to the Golden Black.
Definitely good planning from their side, as well as that accuracy. You got to shout out Lod for those early game arrows, but man, just really able to grind it out, slowly moving up your vision, using your early game Varus poke for some advantages there, and Chaser with the very crucial early game counter gank setup.
Yeah.
From that moment on, it was pretty standard playbook here for Team Dignitas, and that's one of the things that you need to check off. Even though, yeah, it did look, pretty standard and smooth for them, you have to check that box, especially for a new squad, bringing in new Koreans over here. They're super amped up and they're performing really well, but the coordination has plagued them against teams that pressure them more heavily in the late game. And these early stages are definitely things that you're gonna wanna, check off and have a clean one in your books.
And that was pretty clean overall. 30 minutes, 40 seconds, a fairly fast game. Not quite the Phoenix 1 Game 2 victory, where it was sub 30, but 30 minutes and change is actually a pretty respectable game timing. Echo Fox, unfortunately, not the hardest test right now. They've been doing pretty poorly for themselves, but again, you talk about checking boxes. This is a pretty clean win for Team Dignitas. Nothing you can really complain about here. They won their lanes, and they snowballed it well. Yeah,
we'll have to see game number 2. Fox need to make it a completely different story here. They have had success with Acadian pulling off early ganks and trying to snowball off that for the first half of the game, and really trying to set him up with a jungler maybe.
He tried to make plays. He went Warrior Enchant Rek'Sai, right? He had 200 to 300 more gold than Chaser, even after Chaser got those early assists with the counter gank. So theoretically, he doesn't have any winning lanes, so it's going to be hard for him, but Acadian's trying. Again, he blames himself for some of the late game stuff, but it doesn't seem like he has a team to work with.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to send it over to the analysts to see what they are going to make of this game.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I guess what we make of it is that Dignitas looks pretty good here against Echo Fox in the first game, picking up the victory, and a lot of it comes from that top lane. I mean, Someday is just continually looking very strong on both the tanks and the carries out of the top lane.
And I think one of the most surprising things about it is we know he's an incredible carry player, and it makes sense, okay, if Fiora gets a big CS lead over a Maokai or something like that. But we've seen games, both this one and when he played against Zig and when he played against P1 previously, where he's like 60 CS up, 80 CS up in tank versus tank matchups, which is not something you traditionally see from almost any other player.
And it's surprising the way it happens. Like, I went back and rewatched how he did it. Like, basically just is immaculate at CSing in general. And then whenever there's a TP play or a roam play, somehow the wave is always going away from him. So in that dive play that happened, around 9 minutes into the game, the wave is going into the side of Looper. So he misses that whole wave, and then after the fight, he steals some CS from his bot lane. This is being Someday, taking a little superstar tax or whatever it is. But he's constantly doing that, constantly CSing perfectly, and then he makes the most out of it when someone else has to be out of lane. The wave's always going into them.
Right, but he's so good at CSing, and yet he's usually one of the first, or rather the first, to TP. Let's go ahead and take a look at that replay you mentioned. The 3 for 2 in the bot lane in favor of Dignitas. They'll also get the Drake off the backside of this.
Right, this is really just Gate missing his flash engage before the rest of his team is there, so it's pretty easy to single out and get super low. And then
guess what? Someday was first to arrive.
Right, Someday's first to arrive, and it's kind of like one person's always in the front line. First it's Gate, he gets chunked out, forced out, and then after that it's Acadian, and there's always just someone too far ahead of the rest of his team on the side of Echo Fox, so there's just a little miscoordination.
And like you said, it's so punishing because Looper is missing all the CS under his turret right that time. So he's missing the XP, he's missing the gold, and then Someday gets 2 kills there, doesn't miss anything in the top lane because it's going to slow push back towards him. So, I mean, the lane control, his actual CSing, his mechanics, he just plays it better than his opponents most of the time.
It doesn't give your opponent very many options when your top laner, over-indexes in every category as compared to yours, right? He's CSing better, his TPs are quicker, right? His team fight selection seems to be better. And then just in general right now, Dignitas as a team still seems to be meshing a little bit better than Echo Fox. So when they are in those 5v5 situations, they still come out on top.
And I think the top lane as a whole is a very interesting discussion in North America, right? We talked a lot about like how hyped top laners are. And I think that we've seen incredible performances from Someday. We've also seen him kept in check, right? He smashed Ray against C9, then Impact honestly just played better than him, right? We've had a bit of both. So it's hard for me to really see like exactly where I think this guy is in the scale of the league. Because I watch a game like that, I watch some of the other games like the ones against Zig and Ray, and I'm like, yep, he's the best. No one else crushes people like he does. But then he goes up against Impact, and Impact plays him very, very even. So I just think that it's really hard right now to judge not only where the teams are as far as rankings, but also the players. Like guys like Someday, guys like Chaser, there have been games that make them look human, and then there's these games that you're just like, holy crap, this guy's godlike.
And it depends what kind of team comp they're running and how many resources they get. We've seen that Someday sometimes is like a huge resource hog where Keen and Chaser are up there like every 5 minutes, just constantly diving his opponent. And when he does that, sure, he carries and it's great, but there's also these games where he doesn't have any help and he's making his own monster leads. And like you said, sometimes when he doesn't get that help, he's held in check. So I think a little bit of sample size, we need a little more.
Totally, and I mean, honestly, you have to be able to play multiple ways, right? If you invest the resources and the player executes on that, takes advantage of it, and is able to crush a game, that was not wasted resources.
It's not a knock at all.
That is like, oh, why'd you help Someday? Well, because he won us the game. That's why. And I think that it's good to keep in mind that it's not a knock on a player when they're getting a lot of help. Someday can get a lot of help, not necessarily because he needs it, but because he can crush a game when he gets it. And I think that can work both ways.
Super important distinction there, that it's not just help for, help because he needs it to stay in the game. They know that if they give him help, he's going to extend, all of those advantages back to his team in other ways. Another way in which he gives his team advantages is back in that champion select phase, right? We see Fox banning out the Fiora in phase 2 and then still not even taking the Maokai in the first rotation. So basically saying we are aware that Someday has options both for carries and for tanks, and it's giving Dignitas so much freedom in that draft phase.
Right, you're expecting probably a Kennen is why they're concerned about not taking the Maokai right away, and there's just a very interesting meta in the top lane where those tanks are like clearly the most team-centric things available and generally work the best, but if you take one early, the other team still has the option to counterpick it and try and abuse that. And especially when you're talking about a player like Someday, that's a huge concern.
Yeah, and while we focus on the top lane and specifically Someday here, player of the game is going to go to Chaser for counter ganking into the bot lane, that big fight that gets the whole ball rolling. And then in general, I mean, 0-0-11 on the scoreline there. See,
Where are the kills?
not too many,
Where are the
not too
kills?
many faults or mistakes to be found within his game either.
And honestly, all assists is generally the perfect scoreline for most of the junglers. Likely Sin, yeah, sure, it's great if he gets some kills early, snowballing, but it's much better when you give those kills over to your carries. When that does happen, it's pretty much an ideal game. And Chaser, we talked about it, he has had incredible games. He has also had some where he didn't look that good. This was a really bright one for him, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah, 2-0 Maokai gives you the freedom to dive any turret you want. We'll see if Echo Fox can even up the score when we come back with Game 2 against Team Dignitas.